Rosie Glow here, and if you don't know me, I support people to live as their divine human selves, ascended masters in training, by channeling divine grace, which allows us to let go easily of what no longer serves us. So, if you like the sound of that, you're in the right place. When you hit subscribe, you are subscribing to grace. What does grace do? It allows us the power of revelation, and that's why I wanted to talk today about Easter, about sex, about fertility, about shame and the Messiah complex, because it seems that this religious holiday is being taken over basically by, first of all, telling stories that make us feel guilty, make us reflect. It's all about crucifixion, it's all about suffering, persecution, martyrdom, and then eventually the miracle of rising from the dead. Now, my personal experience with religion is one where I haven't, thankfully, been too far indoctrinated in any one particular frame of perception around it, because obviously within the Christian faith there's lots of different takes on the right way to actually worship and the right way to be good Christians. But ultimately, I just want to remind everybody that this religious holiday is based on what was typically a time of year that was celebrated as a fertile time of year, as a time of coming together. And we're coming towards May Day as well, the end of this month, where it's all about fertility. It's all about heaven and earth merging together, creating ecstatic, orgasmic states of life. And that's what I wanted to bring to you, is how interesting it is that we take a religious concept and we place it on top of something that was so magical, that was so shameless, that was just about being able to keep creating in this world an abundance of all good things. And what's happened instead is we've been indoctrinated with conditioning that makes us feel shameful, makes us feel like we're bad, makes us feel that somehow we need someone external to save us. And this is the message, because where we're at in the world today is one where we need to reclaim our connection to our sexuality. We need to move beyond the repression and the indoctrination that has created guilt, shame, judgments around our natural capacity, one, to enjoy our bodies and also to create life, and also to remember that the messages that we have been given about this awesome, basically supposedly died for our sins on the cross. But my understanding of it is the symbolism of the cross is one where if we actually put our arms out and you make a connection that source and earth can move through your body, your connection to source of all that is, to God and to this earth, you are the channel, you are the frequency that brings this energy of the divine to the earth and brings the energy of the earth up and out. And it is through the heart, only through the heart. You can't really see my heart here, but if you take your arms out, it's only through this centerpiece here that we can access our divinity. We cannot do it through our heads. So the only way to God or to source is through Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm totally down with that, but not the human being. Through the consciousness that is the Christ consciousness that I believe, and I've been listening to Aaron Abke about him, and honestly, like, check him out. I'll put a link down in the text box, and I'll also suggest you look at Laurie Ladd's latest channeling as well, because this time of year, it is supposedly a religious time. But very often what has happened is anything that was of pure intent has had indoctrination, it's had infiltration come in, and what was once a pure seed has been darkened, like darkening someone's heart with bitterness, with rage, with unforgiveness, with judgment, with everything that lowers our frequency. And our time now is to remember that this is not about the Easter eggs. It's not about being good people, going to church or listening to a church service and, hoping that if we play by the rules, we will be saved. It's about us saving ourselves. And it is about us remembering that we need to be careful about our own shadow playing out as the Messiah complex, because there are so many truth seekers out in the world today. And what we're all doing, I'll include myself in this, is fighting for freedom, fighting for what should be naturally ours. And it's so hard not to use the word fight, but because it does feel like that. It does feel like there is a battle between good and evil. And it's very easy to get stuck in the battle. So I just want to remind you that the battle is the bridge, right? It's like there's one world, there's another world. And what we often do is we get stuck on the bridge. But what we really need to be doing, and this is my heart's truth that I'm sharing with you, I don't want to offend anybody with this, but I do want to say, for everybody who is fighting for freedom right now, who is fighting for justice, all of it, because they won't save themselves. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to remember two things. One, we are the living example. We are a vibration that when we live that vibration, others will be attracted or repelled by it. Either way, our energy clears the way, because we will attract those of like heart, like mind, show them through our example how to come up. And for those who are repelled, ultimately the more of us there are, the less of them there are, and ultimately we take over the planet because of our energy. But all the time that we are ungrounded, that we are fighting for the very things that are our divine birthright, we are basically weakening. So there isn't one truth seeker that I've worked with, there isn't one protester, one campaigner that I haven't had a conversation with about star peace and about the fact that, okay, so we don't want the passport thing, or we don't want this particular treatment for what's going on in the world today that, you know, people are trying to protect themselves from. What do we want instead? We want autonomy. Okay, we want to make our own decisions. Okay, well, the fabric of the world around us isn't really laid out for that. So we need to change the world around us, okay, by changing what we expect from the inside. And that means writing a new narrative. So I've been using the example of Star Wars simply because this is a series of movies that people know about. I'm like, why hasn't anyone written Star Peace yet? You know, how many more movies do we need where the stars are at war? And why is it important? Well, as above, so below, right? You know, why do we get into astrology? Because it reflects on us as humans what's going on. So my invitation is, this particular time of year is a time to come inwards, and it is about recognizing that we're all very, very powerful. So at a time when portals open, like the equinoxes and the solstices, this is the time when we're supposed to get a lot of light and love and support coming in. But as I said to you, everything that is initially intended for good has been in some way infiltrated and has been in some way manipulated and distorted. And we're all becoming aware of this today. We're all becoming aware of this in the world at large. I mean, I'll give you the example of the medical system, okay? Our current medical system, you know, most people when they go in to become doctors, they want to be healers, right? They want to help others. It's only on their journey in the actual profession that they're in that they realise that they're only being allowed to promote one particular system of health, and that particular system of health is not really about health, it's about management of ailments, and it's just looking at the end product rather than looking at how we get to be sick in the first place and how we can maintain well-being and health on all levels, and understanding the connection between the mind, the body and the heart. Could go off on a billion tangents, but we learn on our soul's journey that things are not necessarily as they appear and as they seem. And, you know, I've seen it with chocolate companies, for example. You know, you get a small company that is selling a lovely organic, fair trade chocolate, and then it's bought up by a big company that hasn't got those ethics. But maybe it will still follow them, but it's being bought up, it's being swallowed up, it's being in some way affected. So, what are we doing this Easter? Well, let's bring more consciousness, more light to our own beingness. Instead of running around trying to save everyone, how about being able to anchor your light into the earth? How about being that beacon, that lighthouse, so that those who are seeking something beyond the trauma that they're in, those who seek something beyond the struggle they find themselves in, can actually find you, rather than try and catch up with you wherever you are. That's one element. The second thing is to recognise that our power is in creating the new narrative. If we do that and we move over the bridge of battle into the place where we've already won, and we start to utilise our imagination, what does our school system look like? What does our healthcare system look like? What do our governments look like? Who are the people that we want to align with? We also need to be very aware of who the modern day saviours and messiahs are. And remember that if we have a subconscious belief that we need saving based on the religious indoctrination that we have had for so long, then we're looking for those saviours outside of us rather than inside of us. And I know a lot of people are really freaked out at the moment because it doesn't seem like things are getting better. If anything, they're getting worse. The level of instability, the kind of control mechanisms that are being proposed, the element of surveillance, the element of all the things that so many of us are fighting against, just says to us, oh my God, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. But we know that for every one of us to awaken, for every one of us to move beyond the slumber of complacency and compliance, we need to be personally affected in such a way that we will be bothered to take a stand, whereas in the past we wouldn't. So it's going to affect everybody one way or another. And if you've been on this journey for a while, be very careful about getting caught up in where other people are on their journey, because you're already way ahead. You are the example. You are living the frequency of a new vibration. So if shit isn't hitting the fan around you, that's okay. It doesn't mean it has to. If you are there, if you are doing that right now, then it's again very important to take all of the stories that you don't like, all of the things that you see that are an injustice in this world, that you think are wrong, and utilize your voice, utilize your power to rewrite the narrative. I've been doing this hashtag star piece thing on my social media. So if I see a news headline I don't like, or I see something that's happening that I feel is the antithesis of the light and the love and the unification of planet Earth and peace on Earth, then I'll write a new narrative around it. Hashtag star piece, write the new narrative, invite other people to share it. I'm inviting you to do the same, because the power is in our pen, the power is in our imagination, the power is inside of us. And if you can get to the point that you know your light is so strong in you, it doesn't matter what you're exposed to, either as environmental factors or what anyone might try and put inside of you. The light and the love, the sacredness of your soul consciousness is such that it overrides any of those things. Then you are in a process of ascension, okay? So going back to the original point about sexual shame, going back to the original point of what this particular holiday was about, what this particular time of year was about, which was based on the equinox, and obviously it's been moved around a little bit. You know, we've been flagellated for so long with feel bad, do good, feel guilty about everything. If you are a good citizen on this planet and you do as you're told, then you will be rewarded in the afterlife. Whereas now what we're facing is, you know, if you're a good citizen and you do as you're told, you're not going to kill everyone around you, and you'll be safe and you won't die. It's like, gosh, how did we get here? So it is so important to remember, wherever there is guilt, there is shame, there is blame, there is judgment, there is also programming. The way through it is through the heart. That whole symbolism of the cross is come back to the heart. When Christ comes in and talks about being, you know, the only Son of God and all the rest of it and blah, 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 I would again check out Aaron Adke's video that I'm going to link up about that, because he really does put it in a really powerful way. And what he's talking about is the fact that the words I am bring us into the conscious alignment with source of all that is. And then we get to be a vibrational match for the things that we want on this planet. But all the time our focus is on the problem, and we're just looking at the problem, we're energizing it. We need to have the discipline. If you are someone who is a sensitive like me, who you're easily swayed, easily brought into fear, taken off your center, you know, we've all been getting practice, particularly with the last full moon and new moon, around holding our center and what takes us off center. Then if you are a sensitive, don't keep putting yourself in positions that trigger that fear. It's like really important to know where you are robust, where you are at your best, and where you are weakened, okay? Because we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Yes, I could spend my life trying to perfect my weaknesses, but I'm here to work with my strengths to support the planetary shift at the moment, so I don't need to keep distracting myself. You are here to play to your strengths. We all are. So rather than feeling bad and guilty about the fact that we can't partake in something because it influences us in a negative way, what can you do instead? What can you do to be a part of the wave of change? Can you bring more light and more love into your beingness? Can you channel the frequency of divine grace? Can you pray for the world? Can you see the world in a state where we are all well and healed, that we are all happy and at peace? Because that is the truth anyway. We're just waking up from that because we've been in a bad dream for a really long time. So again, there's lots of things I wanted to say, but what I really want to do before I sign out is just to read out a couple of prayers to you, because I know that at this time of year, and like every other time when the portals actually open up, what ends up happening is we are much more susceptible to nefarious intent, to malevolent intent, to what I could also call satanic worship, satanic rituals. And as I said, if everything has been taken over, and that's the basis I'm teaching from, is on some level everything that was pure, other than our own hearts, right, has been infiltrated and on some level distorted. So we want to move away from that. We want to be able to ascend beyond it. And that is my invitation to you, or what I'm going to share with you now, because it's the sovereignty prayer, which will help you to stay in alignment. And there is also, here we go, a lovely prayer for letting go of entities that are seeking to dominate you at times when you are going through a shift. So each of us are in a process of ascension. We need to recognize the power of our sexual energy, our kundalini energy. There's one thing to do this weekend, it's make love and energize your hopes and dreams before you orgasm, before you even get into a state where, you know, you're starting to enjoy each other or yourself. What is it that you want to manifest? What is it that you want to co-create? What is it that you want to see in this world? Discuss it, say it out loud, and then energize it with your sexual pleasure. Energize it with your sexual enjoyment. Remember that there's a reason that all things that align us with the divine have in some way been infiltrated and distorted. It is to stop us remembering our power. But you know what? Doesn't matter how they've tried to suppress it, we're still remembering. So let's finish with these two here. I want to invoke the idea that we know that in high places, in all high places, that we're looking for leadership. There's some really bad apples, and they need to be shown for what they are. So to help that, we release from our beingness anything that is attached to us, that is feeding the vibrations of nefarious and malevolent intent. I'm just going to put it there, okay? So you can say this out loud with your hand on your heart. This is a prayer, for spiritual wickedness in high places and how to defend yourself. So it is by Richard Leach as well, and I will put his link as well in the text box. I decree no entity has any right or permission to be with me in my being or influencing my thoughts. Only my guides and angels who support me from the light of my God, source, are welcome to guide me. In the name of God, I call Archangel Michael to defend my being, clear away any and all entities who try to be with me, and stand guard over my being to keep me clear of undesirable influences. It is so. You can just repeat that back. I will put this in the text box so you can connect to it. And I want to finish with our sovereignty prayer, because we are sovereign. And if we can keep this as a mantra in our beingness at this point when we're going through a shift, when we allow ourselves to trust that the things that do need to come to light will come to light. And many, many people are going to need those of us who have been working with this light to stay anchored and strong and to support them to awaken. They are watching us. We are the example. So let us be an example of sovereignty. Bring your hands to your heart. Please repeat after me. I am all that is. I am a sovereign being of love light. And I'm claiming my power fully as the co-creator of my reality. I am choosing love to win wherever fear seems to control my perception, behavior, decisions, and actions. I am willing to see with crystal clarity what is true and what is illusion within me and around me. I am making a conscious decision to awaken my higher self-consciousness within me and act in full alignment with this awareness guiding me. I am ready to see the lies that have been told to me, and I am revoking all vows I have made against my sovereignty. I am the power. I am the authority. In my life, I do not consent or acquiesce to my power being taken from me. I am choosing to see and take love-based action accordingly. I am sovereign. I am free. and I am choosing to be a vessel for the purest vibrations of love light to flow and act through me. So it is, and so it shall be. Yes. So without making this harp on too long, please remember that it is a time to celebrate your sexuality, your fertility this time of year. The more you get into your sexuality, the more you get into pleasure, the more you enhance your creativity and your fertility. So if you want babies, remember that. Okay, we have been programmed now to believe it's hard, that actually it's difficult to make babies, that they need to be created in labs. They don't, all right? We need to come back to us, to our healed inner masculine, feminine and child, to healed relationships, to sexual sacred union, to raising the consciousness up, loving up the shame, the guilt, the blame, the judgment, moving beyond the idea that we need someone outside of us to save us, because we don't, and looking inwards and being the example of saving ourselves, so we don't have that complex, codependent need to go rescue everyone without them actually even asking us or telling us that they want rescuing, right? It's really important, remember this, because there's lots of helpers and healers out there in the world, and we're all wanting in some way to help raise the consciousness, but the best way to do it is as a vibrational state, okay? Your whole universe is in here. Anything you want, you can access as a feeling state, and then your mind becomes the servant to your heart, and you get your mind to inspire you with the thoughts that are going to allow you to fulfill what is necessary to feel the vibration in your heart and to activate it. I really hope that you take this on board and give yourself permission to move beyond the fight into the celebration, because the more of us that can celebrate, the more of us that can remember the light has already won, and we are indeed sovereign by birthright. And what we're doing is we're applying persistent pressure on those who are disrespecting our boundaries. And yes, we can defend ourselves. Hey, thank you, Aileen. Good to see you, Eileen. Good to see you. Those of us who are seeking to dull our light, to somehow suppress our truth on whatever level, are just not in the space of love and of grace. And it's no longer their time anymore. We've learnt this. We can evolve beyond this now, okay? So let this weekend count. Let it be a weekend where you are conscious about the seeds that you're planting. Make love, not war. Give thanks to the fact that we are awakening. We are ascending. And allow yourself to tend to your own inner garden. In this way, we can really be of service to others. Remember to rewrite the script, please, in any situation that you're not happy in, you're not liking what's going on in the world around you or in your own inner world. If you want things to change, you need a new story to align with. We all do. And that is star peace. Namaste.